Okay, Kids and Guns Part 3. I think I would start on this one with first and foremost the fact that firearms, much like a knife or anything else, in the hands of any of my children, because I'm a proactive kind of a parent, are a privilege, okay? And I am responsible for everything that goes on with that youngster, whether he's out on the, he could be out in the parking lot with a skateboard. And if I feel like he's horsing around too much and being irresponsible and stupid, and he may fall and bust his head open, then I'm going to call him down and say, hey, get off the skateboard, get in here and sit down and behave yourself. Well, if a kid proves to be irresponsible by either mishandling a firearm, just in terms of an accident or whatever like that, not exercising safe muzzle control or something like that, I'm going to call them down and I'm going to get on them and things like that. If it seems to be more than just a one-time mistake, then they may lose their privileges until we go all the way over, basic training again. If my kid has been hauled in by the police multiple times and hauled out by the school multiple times, and my kid clearly seems to have antisocial behaviors or obviously mental illness, as it is referred to. I call it like demon activity going on. To each his own. The bottom line is someone who has violent tendencies, I'm not going to give them access to a gun, okay? I'm not going to give them overt access to like hunting knives or something. Fact is, if my kid was acting in a criminal way, we'd be on a whole different video right now because I'd probably be coming to you from jail or something. I don't know, just a little humor. But I mean, I'm going to deal with that, okay? So a lot of the hype that's been going on regarding firearms and children has been so negative. You can't let a kid have a gun. It's the worst thing in the world. When that's just ridiculous. The best thing they can do is, if they're a responsible kid, is have a gun. That's why I have gun laws. If a person's an irresponsible adult, maybe they shouldn't be having guns, right? That's why we have background checks and things. But before a kid has a record that would keep a kid from having a gun, they're supposed to have parents. And so parents should say, hey, I think my kid's about a criminal. He threatens me. Well, then clearly you would deny that kid access to guns. So I got my rant out. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Bad cop for the day, I guess.
I guess. All right, I'm going to try to hit it from a little bit different angle here of the hope is that you start early enough and parent enough that you minimize the chance that your kid's going to be a criminal. But that's on you, because the kid started out just fine when they
were born.
when they were born. So after that, now everybody has their own personality and their own bent, but it's shaped a lot by what the parents do. And first of all, if you act responsibly yourself, and then you teach them responsibility and you convey responsibility to them, you're going to minimize how much this kind of stuff comes up. And the extreme case, which I think more your rant spoke to, is what would be on you then is it's up to you to pay attention. You're the first line of the rest of us, civilization, of keeping track of what's going on. And you can't be blowing that off. If you need help, pastors, counselors, there's all kinds of people available. It's not, don't get in over your head and then blow it off. It's like, do something about it.
Especially if you're talking firearms, but knives and ball bats and homemade bombs and vehicles. If a person's really nutso and hateful, they could kill and maim and hurt a lot of people a lot of different ways. Firearms seem to be in the spotlight, but the truth is the most deadly school killing ever, I think, was in the 30s, and that was done with a bomb or a stick of dynamite or several. and that was extremely lethal. So it's not really the firearm thing, but we're talking about kids and firearms. So we're talking be responsible proactively and things like that. And then familiarity and training. And again, we don't get kids familiar if we feel like that they're criminals. Okay, so I'm just talking about your kids that you've raised right, that are good, respectful citizens. Now you've begun training them at an early age. You teach them the principles of gun safety, responsible gun handling, and all about what a firearm is about. Because I think ignorance is the great poison here. Because as Patrick said earlier, it does cause great curiosity and everything, and then you got a kid fumbling around with something, don't know how to handle it, things like that. And guns can become sort of toys in certain types of mentalities when they're really a tool. And so we want to train them to use a gun responsibly, safely. They should be able to take this little firearm apart, clean it, and put it back together. If they're big enough to shoot it, they're big enough to disassemble it and clean it and put it back together and things like that. All of which creates a familiarity and a knowledge that makes them responsible gun handlers, not just somebody who knows where the trigger is located on a firearm.